Hello, and welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's Vacation Station show with Nancy and Lisa, the crazy mother-daughter travel team and publishers of the digital interactive Big Blend Radio and TV magazine and Parks and Travel magazine. You can check it all out at bigblendmagazines.com. Today we're excited. We are going, I wish we were physically going, we're going to Park City, Utah to find out what it's like to have fun out there in wintertime. You know, whenever I hear about Park City, my immediate mind goes to, Sundance Film Festival in Robert Redford, right, Nancy?
Absolutely.
That's the first thing she thinks of. But apparently there's a lot of snow, and this is a destination that you can go and enjoy year-round. I'm very excited to have Dan Howard with Visit Park City on the show with us today. Welcome, Dan. How are you?
I'm terrific. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my town with you.
Oh, wow. And it sounds like it is, even though it's a city, right? It does sound like we've never been there. Definitely want to go, especially going on your website, Visit Park City, visitparkcity.com, right, for everyone.
That's right.
You know, looking at all the outdoors and nature, but you seem to have like this beautiful, charming, historic downtown, so it feels more of a town versus a big city.
Oh, it's definitely a town, not a city. We're very close to a big city. We're very close to Salt Lake City. And a lot of times when you're a little ski mountain town, people think that you're going to be driving hours to get to that mountain top. But we're very lucky that our geography has us literally 20 minutes from Salt Lake City. And there just isn't another ski mountain in the United States that's that close to a major city and a major international airport, because we have 300 flights a day into Salt Lake International Airport, and we're 24 minutes from the terminal.
That's cool. That's cool. So that makes everything accessible. Okay, and you talk about, you know, skiable. I was looking at skiable acres on your website, 7,300 skiable acres?
So we're very lucky. A lot of towns would be lucky to have one ski resort in its town, but we actually have two. We have two ski resort mountains in our town. And one of them, it's called Park City Mountain, is the largest ski resort in the United States that's lift accessed. And it was a combination of formerly two ski mountains that were merged into one. And now Park City Mountain, which sits right along the western side of our main street, is very accessible, obviously large, but it even has a lift that goes directly onto Main Street, which is a really fun thing. Our town wasn't built to be a ski town. So many of the ski towns in North America were built sort of in the 70s or later in order to just get people up close to the mountain. And they're very new relative to our town. Our town was built in 1880, and it was built as a silver mining town to get people close to the mountain in order to get the silver out. And so that's why it's close to the mountain. But back in 1880, there wasn't really anything like recreational skiing going on in our country. So it's really, to redevelop the town as a ski town has been wonderful, because we have 47 buildings on our main street that are in the National Historic Register. So when you walk onto our main street, you're transported to a different time. And the wonderful Park City Museum that's in the middle of Main Street takes people on a historic journey through that silver mining era. And on the basement is our old Utah territorial jails cells. That's where the people were put into jail after a night on the town. And you can still put the kids in the jail cells and take pictures with them. And they're the real cells, because Main Street was always the place where
Oh,
there was a lot of rambunctious activity. And even today, after the ski mountains close, it's where there's all the live music, the restaurants, the saloons, and it's
cool.
really connected to that
Mm.
era.
I want to go for we
Yeah,
travel on our Love Your Parks tour. So we have to come to Park City. I mean, you've got the
that makes
name
sense.
Park City. It's like the land of parks. Um, we travel around on our tour, and our mascot is Priscilla. She's a pink sock monkey. I don't know how she became the travel mascot. There's a long story behind it, but we put her in jail cells everywhere we can. She's been,
Oh,
Yes,
great.
yeah. So we need to come
Mhm.
just to put her
just
in
to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
territorial jail.
Yeah.
I love that. So
Yeah.
you've got this history, but we're talking about Sundance Film Festival that is internationally renowned and world famous, really, and yet at the same time there's the Egyptian theater. And I always find these kind of theaters that, I mean, they take you back in the past too. And they're just, is
Yes.
it all ornate on the inside with all the,
Yes.
oh, cool.
Mm.
Yeah, it almost disappeared in the 1920s, and there was this wonderful community effort to restore it and make it pristine. And because it all almost collapsed because of the volume of snow on
Oh,
the roof at one point. But the community loves the Egyptian theater and has restored it, and it has a really robust calendar of events. And it, of course, was where they screened films for the Sundance Film Festival when
mm,
it started. And next year, I will say not next January, this coming January, the one after that is going to be the 40th anniversary of the Sundance Film Festival here
wow.
in Park City.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
there'll be extra excitement.
How do you
Mm.
manage that, with this being so famous? How do you handle so many people coming in? I mean, do people need to, I know we're looking at 2020 coming up now, January 2020,
Yeah.
January 2021 being your 40th. Should people look at booking for the 40th anniversary like a year in advance?
I think every Sundance people should book a year in advance
Yeah.
because the dates are always set.
Mm-hmm.
And even, as soon as you check out, if you love the Sundance Film Festival, then rebook it right away because the town is small and people end up staying as far away as Salt Lake City. And it's nice to stay within walking distance of these films. The reason that it works so well is because we do have a free public transit system, and the festival has some augmented transportation. So you really don't need a car to visit Park City.
Ooh.
If you fly in to Salt Lake City, you just take one of our airport shuttles, and the rest of the time, the public transportation is free.
Wow.
So it really, and people don't realize it, and they'll rent a car and it'll sit in a hotel garage for 4 days, and they'll drive it back to the airport, and they never used it.
Oh.
And so but that's because in their reference mind for these other ski mountains, you really don't have options like that. You
Mm.
have to have cars. So we're very special that way.
I love
That's
that.
cool.
That
Yeah.
is cool. It's good for the environment too.
Yeah.
And to get out there and when it comes to skiing, so you've got these ski resorts, but it looks like there's, we can go snowboarding, we can go snow tubing, which is probably the only thing I'm qualified for. Nancy,
You'll love it.
that's what I want to do because I know the skiing thing, I'll go on the lift because that sounds like fun,
There's so many snow activities. You can go on sleigh rides. You can go
Oh,
dog sledding. You can go
wow.
snowmobiling. You can go ice skating. You can do
Wow.
nothing but just dress in a nice warm coat and sit in front of a fireplace and drink hot toddies.
Okay.
You
Well,
don't
there
have
you go.
you don't have to ski in order to just love being part of this
Snow.
wintry
Yeah.
postcard of a town.
Right. And you are true Four Seasons. That's what going through your
We
website,
are.
I'm like, oh man, I
Yeah.
love, love, love that because it's just like
Yeah.
nature is part of that, and it just like the way that your town is positioned, you look like you're in the Alps or something. It really
That's right. It does. If you've ever been to Switzerland or Austria, this feels more like that than even any part of the United States. It's
oh,
very special. And the seasons change in beautiful ways. We're in the middle of a gorgeous fall right now with all the foliage. people only think of New England for foliage, but Park City is covered in fall foliage.
Mm.
And then we'll be into our winter, and then the spring skiing is special because the skies are always blue, and as long as the sun is on your face, it's actually a really comfortable
Mm.
thing to do. And you can ski in your t-shirts here in March,
Oh,
which
wow.
is very special.
Mm.
And
Wow.
then really quickly, it becomes, our summertime really reliably starts with Memorial Day. And the Utah Symphony moves up to Park City for the summer and has a whole series of outdoor concerts where we get country stars, Broadway stars, opera stars, rock stars playing with the Utah Symphony. And you sit out on your blanket in what was a ski resort during the winter, but it's now just a grassy field. And
Wow.
we have art festivals in the summertime, visual art, as well as culinary arts. Summertime is really long, and the nights stay very long.
Mm.
And then we turn back to fall, and then the winter starts all over. And so there are 52 weeks a year, and there isn't a bad one here in Park City. It's a beautiful town that, interestingly, it changes like almost like clockwork with the calendar.
Wow.
When the solstice says it's changing, you feel it that day.
Wow.
Fascinating.
So when does the snow start?
It's already started. I mean, we're covered in snow today.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
But what's interesting is that we still have our fall foliage, and
Oh,
so
wow.
you're seeing this unusual combination of snow on top of colored leaves,
oh, that's
and
beautiful.
that's something you rarely would see anywhere else in the country, and it's because of our altitude.
Wow.
Ah.
Wow. So,
I was just looking at, for Halloween, you seem to dress up dogs.
We do. Our unofficial name is Bark City, Utah, and it's because everyone has a dog here. And on Halloween, which is almost always going to be snowing, but you've got the dogs dressed in the costumes, and we close down Main Street, and the dogs parade down at 5 o'clock sharp.
oh, wow. I love
Fun
this.
that. Yeah.
What's up with the 10,000-year-old crater?
So this area is very important geologically, and there's a wonderful geothermal crater that people paddleboard in, do yoga in. It's a very unique experience, and it's really close to Park City. It's in the town of Midway, which is a little Swiss town of Swiss heritage.
Oh, wow.
And that's just about 10 minutes to the south of us in
Wow.
Park City. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things around the area. There's a area called Wanship, which is in Summit County here, and Wanship is home of our High West whiskey distillery.
Oh, wait, now we're getting really, this is important.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
listen up, there's whiskey in them hills.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of people don't realize that Utah was key in overturning prohibition, partly because of the whiskey making we were doing.
way.
And people think of Utah in a very odd way because it's associated with Mormon pioneers settling Utah. But Park City was always it wasn't settled by Mormon pioneers. It was settled by silver miners from Europe who were looking to make their fortunes at the same time, kind of like the California gold rush. So
They
it
drink.
was always,
They drink.
they drink, and it was always considered the place to party in the state, and it never changed. And I think a lot of towns in Utah look to Park City with a little bit of a sideways glance, but it's why we're the most popular city to visit in the state. And the whiskey making has been part of our heritage the whole time, and was a part of our national heritage. And anywhere in the country now, you're going to see High West whiskey, which is a Park City product.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
This
Yeah.
is so cool. So what's it like in regards to eat, drink, and be merry in downtown Park City? What are the restaurants like? Do you have special, like, is something specifically regional, like your High West whiskey, or is, farm to table? What are we looking
I
at for food?
I would say that because of the ski industry, the culinary arts has always been important here, because people really work up an appetite, and that's true of even the summertime with mountain biking. The main street has to have great food. One of my favorite aspects of our town is that we have an anti-chain ordinance on our main street.
Oh, awesome.
So there is no restaurant that you will have experienced in another part of the country or the world. They are family owned, and that's true of our galleries as well and our shopping. There are some chain outlets around the area, but not in the historic district. And so the food is quite unique. I'd say our newest restaurant is called Courchevel, which is French. It's our French sister city but we have a lot of food with the cuisine of Mexico, a lot of food from Italy. We have awesome sushi, which is great because it's flown in daily and driven right up here to the mountain.
Wow.
And we have a lot of resorts. We have a lot of ski and ski out luxury resorts where the food in the resorts is worth going even if you're not staying at the resort.
Wow. So a lot of
So,
resorts. Yeah, and that's
yeah.
it's going to lodging. Do you have, I
Yeah.
was looking on your website, it looks like you have a lot of, vacation rentals and cabins and a little bit of
Yeah.
everything.
We do. And I think one of the things we're best known for is the service levels. I had mentioned Park City Mountain as one of our ski resorts. The other ski mountain that we have here is called Deer Valley Resort, and it is a ski-only resort, meaning snowboarding isn't allowed on that ski mountain. So if you're a snowboarder, Park City Mountain is where you'll be. But if you're a skier, you could ski on Park City Mountain or Deer Valley. And all the resorts that are on Deer Valley's mountain have really high levels of service where they're putting your boots on for you. They're lining your skis up on the snow so that all you need to do is just click into them and go. And they're right from the doors of the hotel or resort right onto the ski lifts or the trails.
Wow.
So there's a really high level. In fact, if children have never skied before and then they ski Deer Valley first, they're going to really be disappointed when they ski the rest of the ski world because what do you mean I have to pick up my own skis? And, like Deer Valley doesn't allow you to touch your equipment. They just do it all for you.
Wow.
And it's always ranked number one in terms of service levels, ski grooming quality, the food levels at Deer Valley. I would say they more or less mirror Austrian or Swiss cuisine up in the Deer Valley restaurants. It's a very it's got a different ambiance. I would say maybe a little more genteel because the speed of the snowboarding isn't kind of part of what's going on Deer Valley Mountain. So it's different.
What about people like Nancy and I
Yeah.
who need help when it
Yeah.
comes to skiing because, we'll giggle our way down or something. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's one of my favorite questions. It's because this area isn't known for its double black diamond terrain. There are so many ski mountains that are known for high levels of expertise. Park City and Deer Valley are ideal for more beginners or moderate intermediates, and we have hundreds to almost over 1,000 ski instructors, and they're really there for adults. Because the kids have no trouble. They're flying all over the place.
Yeah.
But the adults are like, am I going to feel stupid going into a ski class?
Can I have
the
a toddy
truth is,
first?
right, or this is the best place to do a ski lesson. And if you're a first-time skier, and if you happen to be double black diamond, there are terrain up at the top of both ski mountains that'll make you happy. But what I love is that if a family comes and there's a wide range of skill level, they can all ski together here and start at the top and take different routes down and meet at the bottom. And they can be together. Not every ski area would enable that to happen with a wide range of ski skill sets.
Yeah, this is cool. Nancy, we might be
Yeah.
able to do it. Come on.
Yeah,
We can do
I know you can.
Priscilla can go first.
We love it. Yeah.
Priscilla, take her to Deer Valley and see what they do with her. That's fun. I do want to ask this, how, when you're in the tourism world, oh yes, you really do get weekends off, but you get a weekend off because some friends have come to town and have never been to Park City in winter. So what would your weekend be like if you're going to take them around? It's not
Oh
that
my goodness.
we're putting you back to work, but it's fun work.
It's always been true that if you work doing what you love, that you never work a day in your life. And I always forget that there's a paycheck, because sharing Park City with people is a thrill, and you're always laughing, and just showing people. Over the course of my 10 years here, I've probably brought up more than 1,000 people to Utah for the very first time. And in every single case, it's exceeded their expectation. People have very low expectations of Utah for some reason. And when they get here, it's so beautiful. People are so accommodating and friendly. And it's a small town, so it's very easy to get around. Most of our guests come from cities. And so, we don't have traffic relative to any of that. The only thing that can really stop our progress over a weekend would be if a moose comes into the middle of the street. You have to stop.
Okay.
And you just let that moose do its thing.
I didn't know you had moose. I am so on my way. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
so
they're really magical to watch. I see them on the way to work every day, and
wow.
And we don't love it when they come onto Main Street, because it really does stop everything, and also they're wild animals. So a lot of tourists they literally walk close to them or take pictures, and that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you really don't want to get near them.
Yeah.
But we are used to, they'll hurt you, and they're big, and they're bigger than your car.
That's funny.
So it's magical to see them. But if a tourist does see one during the course of a weekend, we warn them in advance. When you do come upon one, be smart about it, and know that they're just walking alongside our town.
I can see that you have webcams, so I'm going to now start watching your town to see if I can moose spot. I love that.
I can see the next magazine is not coming out.
Yeah.
So where did the moose come from? I mean, are there parks? I have to ask about parks, because we got to plan for this now, so we can go hiking and go see wildlife. Like, I want to see moose.
Right.
You must have elk then, right? If you have moose.
Sure we do. We sure do.
Cool.
And one of my favorite, there's a gazelle that I had never seen before I moved to Utah, and the first time I saw it was in Bryce Canyon National Park, which is about 3 hours from Park City. And when you see this pronghorn, it's called a pronghorn. It's almost prehistoric, and the antlers are on its head in a different direction than you're expecting. Its eyes are really on the side of its head, and it's got these prehistoric eyes that allow it to see behind it. And it's got a cardiovascular system that allows it to outrun a car. It can run 70 miles an hour for 2 hours straight.
Wow.
And I'd never seen one until I came to Utah. They are all around Wyoming and Montana and Alberta and Utah. And there are just so many special creatures here that are roaming. We have 5 national parks in Utah, and then another, at least, I think it's 40 state parks.
Wow.
Almost 70% of Utah's land is public, which makes it unusual to have such little private land in the state that the government can control. The rest is all controlled by the national government and state government.
That's, when it comes to public land, for us, we find that, it's important, it's to save those pieces of history, the
Yeah.
natural landscape, and it's always under threat, so to have that much is really,
Lucky,
special.
man.
Yeah, it's really, really special. And we have been through some parts of Utah, and, it's amazing when you talk about Park City, the snow and the skiing and the moose coming out, and I'm like whiskey, and
Right.
then theater and movies. But at the same time, there's, the red rocks and the Vermilion Cliff areas, and then there's lush green valleys and there. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful state, but it's like, wow, look at Park City. This is like a whole, just a whole special thing. But I'm not letting you off the hook. What are you going to do with your friends for a weekend?
Well, I mean, we would definitely start with a hearty breakfast because you're going to have recreation involved, and there are so many great places. I would probably take them to the eating establishment, which is one of the owners his name is Ty Burrell. He's an actor on a TV show called Modern Family. He plays the dad, and his wife is a native Utahn, and so he's a partner in this restaurant on Main Street, and their specialty is Bloody Mary.
Okay.
So I would definitely encourage that.
Cool.
I might just do a little tour that we have a gin distillery on Main Street where you learn about the botanicals that go into making gin, and they do pairings so that you make your own. And then down at one of the newer restaurants, it's called Hearth and Hill. They have what's called an old-fashioned bar. So you make your own old-fashioned.
Wow.
And we have Old Town Cellars, which has wine made just for us in Park City. And,
wow, this sounds like someone's doing the driving, man. This is like this is my kind of recreation for sure.
And then
you can just walk.
and we also have the first microbrewery in Utah.
Right
and Greg Scherf came out here from Wisconsin to ski in the 70s and said, we need some beer here in Utah, and we make beautiful beer in Utah. And thanks to Greg and the people who helped to create our microbrew scene here. So there really is a nice kind of spirits trail that you could do. I would spread it out because I do want people to, they could walk along the Union Rail Trail, which is the rail trail is a state park all into itself. It's on the site of the old train. You may have seen in the news just about a month and a half ago, but the train came through Utah, and that's what we were the transcontinental meeting of the tracks. And they recreated that moment with the Golden Spike, where the West Coast train and the East Coast train met at Promontory, Utah. And that train came right through Park City, which was thrilling.
Oh, wow. That's
so
really cool.
Yeah, it really is. And in a way, that train was sort of the early internet in terms of sharing information from one side of the country to the other. And I love that you can actually feel that history here as you walk through the town. I can sense the fact that we're walking in the same footsteps. And I love taking people into the art galleries that are here. I happen to love original art and sculpture, and I would definitely take them there and make sure they saw both of our ski resorts, looked for some wildlife, and now we have a new attraction called Woodward Park City, which is a place to learn how to ski or snowboard off of a ski mountain, like before you go.
Cool.
They have foam pits and things that teach you how to take a fall.
Okay, that's where we're going.
Yeah, and then I would finish probably at the Utah Olympic Park, where you can watch athletes training, whether it's winter or summer games, and also go through the museum that takes us back to when Salt Lake hosted the most recent games in America, which was 2002, and Park City was part of that. And we are going to host a future Olympics
Oh, really?
for sure in the winter. The USOC has chosen Park City and Salt Lake as the next Winter Games of America, whenever that will be.
Right.
We know the summer in LA of 2028 will be the next US Games, but the next Winter Games is going to be here after that.
Oh.
We'll see. We don't know exactly what year, but we won the US OC bid, which was wonderful.
That's a huge deal. Yeah. We
Really
interviewed an author about, I'm going to get his, Coubertin, who started the Olympics and really kept fighting for the Olympics to stay as a role of peace around the world, of
I think
unity.
so.
And he wrote a book about it, his biography, and he's on he goes out and chooses who's going to get the Olympics. So it's really fascinating how that happens, and it's big when you get it. You know?
Well, there was a time when they were looking for countries that would spend a lot of money to create new attractions. And now, with the way the world is looking at renewable and reusable, the fact that our facilities are still in place and in use from '02 saved about $1 billion in the budget for a future games, and that finally became more important than finding a country like Kazakhstan that's never hosted a World Olympics but was willing to spend money on new facilities. And so we're really happy.
Yeah, it's hard, in South Africa. We used to live in Port Elizabeth, where they and in South Africa, where they just totally changed, where I was, growing up as a kid on the beach, the harbor area in Port Elizabeth. They totally rebuilt it and did all these things, spent so much money that they really didn't have. And sometimes that's where safety becomes an issue, if and then after that, how do you maintain that? If how do you maintain those buildings and those new, fields and stadiums and everything that they did? It's great to have that infrastructure, but can you continue afterwards? And so I'm really glad to hear that. That's really positive, when you look at that.
It is. Well, in Pyeongchang at this last Winter Olympics, they tore the buildings down the second the games ended. Wow. And here, people are looking for altitude training. The U.S. Center for Excellence, which is a training facility, is here in Park City. We have so many athletes because they're coaches and they're physicians, and so many of the resources to be an Olympic athlete are here, and they're training here all year round. And that really encourages us to keep the facilities fresh and being used all the time.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
Great. What a waste to tear them down. Wow.
Yeah, I know. Man, everyone, you got to go to Park City, and we got to go now. I definitely want to come out and play in all your parks. I mean, that's cool because you got the history in the parks. I always find that awesome when there's always history attached to a park. It may be a wild place, but there's always history. So everyone, again, you can go to visitparkcity.com. We also want to thank our friends and partners, the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. They're an awesome organization where destinations and travel writers and everyone in the industry connect. And that's how we find out about places like Park City. So I'm so glad they introduced us to you, Dan. Dan's website, again, visitparkcity.com. The International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association is, as we call them, IFTWA, is ifwtwa.org. Don't forget, you can keep up with Big Blend Radio. Just go to bigblendradio.com. Our segments air Sunday through Friday, and all kinds of places, from Spreaker and Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, iTunes. There's a whole list. I can't keep up with it. I'm blonde. So just go to bigblendradio.com. We always love to play music for our guests, and we thought this was an appropriate one. The song is called Fallen Snow. And since you're already getting snow, it's even better. So this is from Peggy James. She's a singer-songwriter based out of Milwaukee, and it's off of her latest album, Nothing in Between. You can hear her interview up on blendradioandtv.com. Thank you so much for joining us, Dan. We're thirsty now, and we're ready to hit a trail.
That's
Look forward to welcoming you to Utah.
Thank you.
Walk with me in the fallen snow. fall